Commander Reek stood tall on the bridge of the flagship Nova Blade, his hands behind his back, his sharp eyes staring at the swirling purple clouds of the unknown sector ahead. It was called Sector X-92, uncharted, untouched, unexplored.
Held. Lord Core. Held detected. No.
Mission was simple. Enter, scan, map, and return. But something didn't feel right. The fleet of 12 ships floated, calmly in formation behind the Nova Blade. Every captain was waiting for Rake's final command. To jump. Are we ready? Rike asked without turning his head. Yes, sir, replied Lieutenant Kerr from the control panel. All ships report full systems online. Jump drives are primed, awaiting your order. Just then, a quiet beep echoed from the communications. Console? Ensign Mira leaned forward. Her face changed. Her fingers moved fast. Double quotes, sir. We've received a message, she said. From whom? Reek asked. No one was supposed to be out here, Mira swallowed. Unknown source. No ID, but it's broadcasting on an old Earth emergency band from over 100 years ago, Reek raised. An eyebrow. Put it on. A voice came through the speakers, broken, static-filled, and distorted. But the words were clear. Do not enter. You won't return. This is your only warning. The entire bridge went silent. Everyone stared at the speakers. The voice was calm, almost tired. Then silence. Is that some kind of joke? Reek asked. Mira shook her head. No, sir. It was real. It came from within the sector. But now, the signal is gone. Nothing left. Lieutenant Kerr spoke quietly, Commander. Maybe we should pause. Run more scans. Try to trace it. A warning like that. Reek turned slowly. His voice was steady, but firm. We are explorers. Humanity has never turned away from the unknown. We pushed through worse. We won't be scared by a ghost message. But, sir, Kerr tried again. What if it's not a ghost? Reek narrowed. His eyes, the only danger here is fear. Prepare to jump. Kerr didn't argue again. Orders were orders. Reek gave the signal. Begin jump countdown. Across the fleet, engines flared with blue light. The countdown began, 29. Mira stared at her screen. A second message tried to come through, but too weak. Just a whisper, 7.6. She leaned forward, trying to boost the signal. 5. 4. The whisper turned into 2 words. He is awake. 3.2. Mira opened her mouth to speak, but it was too late. 1. Jump.
Ow.
The fleet vanished in a blink, disappearing into fold space. Leaving behind normal stars and safe zones, they exited the jump seconds later, now deep inside Sector X-92. At first, everything looked normal. Empty space, a few dead moons, strange nebulae floating far away. But then Kerr frowned. Sir, the stars. They're not right. What do you mean? Reek asked. These constellations there. All wrong. None of them match the maps. Even our deep scanners can't locate known systems, Mira added. Long-range communications are down, no contact with Solnet, not even the nearest relay station. Reek looked around. It's probably interference. Realign the antennas. But Kerr shook his head. We've tried. Sir, it's like we're not in normal space. Then the strangest thing happened. A star disappeared. Not slowly, not like it burned out. It just blinked, gone, like a light switched off. Mira gasped. Another one. Just vanished. The crew watched in silence as one by one, distant stars disappeared from the sky. No explosions, no signs, just darkness replacing light, sir. Something is wrong, Kerr said. Now, with panic in his voice. Reek tried to stay calm. We've come this far. Let's not lose control. But then another alarm. This time from the scout ship Hawk 9. They had flown ahead to scan a nearby moon. Hawk 9-2 Nova Blade. We're seeing strange structures down here. This place isn't dead. It's ... Moving. Something is moving. The transmission cut. Off. Reek leaned forward. Get them back. Now. Mira tried again and again. No response. No signal. They're just gone. A cold silence filled the bridge. Kerr whispered. We should have listened. Reek said nothing. He looked out at the dark space ahead where the stars were dying one after another. He had led them here. And something was waiting. Something ancient. Something awake. Commander Reek. I stood still on the bridge of the Nova Blade. The stars were still disappearing, one by one. They didn't explode or fade. They just blinked out, like someone flipping off switches in the sky. He turned to Lieutenant Kerr. Status of Hawk 9? Kerr shook his head. Still gone, sir? No signal, no debris? It's like they were never. Here, the silence felt heavier now. No one spoke unless they had to. Even the hum of the engines felt quieter. Mira sat at her station, her fingers moving across controls. Long-range scanners ... aren't working. They're bouncing back like... We're surrounded by mirrors. Reek frowned. Mirrors? Yes, sir, she said. The scans go out, but they come back instantly, like something is copying our signals and reflecting them. But there's nothing there. Try short range, Reek said. We're already using it. That's how we're keeping contact with the fleet. But even that... it's flickering. Suddenly the screen blinked. One of the fleet's smaller ships, the Sun Spear, flashed red on the display. Alert from the Sun Spear, Kerr said. They've lost one of their crew members. He disappeared during a routine walk to engineering. The cameras glitched. 1 second he was there. Next second, gone. Gone where? Reek asked. They don't know, Kerr said. No sign. No body. No trace. Reek clenched his jaw. He had been in many dangerous missions before, but never like this. Made sense here? Send word to all ships, Reek ordered. Seal all internal doors. Double guards. No one goes alone. Yes, Commander, Kerr said. Then Mira's voice came again, soft, shaky. Sir... Something's coming toward us. Reek turned. No, it's not solid. It's like ... fog, but glowing. On the main screen, a strange light began to appear in the distance. It looked like a floating cloud, but it moved with purpose. Slowly, it glided toward the fleet, changing shape as it came closer. Inside the cloud, shadows moved like they were alive. What is that? Kerr whispered. Mira zoomed in, not showing on sensors, only visible through optical cameras. Put the fleet on alert, Reek ordered. But when the Nova Blade's guns turned toward, the fog it stopped. It just floated in space. Right outside their range, then a whisper echoed through the bridge, so not through the speakers. Inside their heads, a voice. Cold, gentle, too clear. You. Came again. Everyone froze. Rake's voice broke the silence. Who's transmitting? No one, sir, Mira said. There's no signal. It's nothing. It's like we're hearing it without sound. We warned you. The whisper came again. This time, stronger. Kerr dropped his headset. His eyes were wide. Did you all... hear that? Yes, Mira said. But... how? Reek took a deep breath. I don't care what it is. Get us out of here? Kerr began the jump sequence. Preparing FTL drives. Calculating jump back to safe space. Everyone waited. 5 seconds to jump, Kerr announced. But then, every screen turned black, sir. Main systems offline, Mira shouted. It's not a malfunction, it's interference. Jump drive status, Reek demanded. Dead, Kerr replied. Completely. Something is jamming the drives. Like, they're being locked from the outside. The glowing fog outside started to fade. But something new replaced it. A shape. gigantic, bigger than any of their ships, floating slowly from the shadows. It was a structure or maybe a ship. No, not a ship. It looked ... alive, covered in long, thin tendrils. Thousands of glowing eyes along its sides. It didn't attack. It just watched. You will not leave. The voice came again, stronger. It echoed inside every crew member's mind. Suddenly, someone screamed. A crewman on the upper deck of the Nova Blade grabbed his head and collapsed. Medical staff rushed to him, but it was too late. Blood leaked from his nose and ears. His brain had overheated. Without warning, he just ... died, Mira whispered. No wounds, no cause. His brain just ... stopped. Panic was rising now. The crew was scared, and Reek knew it. He stood tall. We will not die here. Find a way. There's always a way. But deep inside, even he wasn't sure anymore. The fleet was trapped in a place that didn't follow any law of nature. Their weapons were useless. Their engines were locked. The enemy was invisible and already inside their minds, and somewhere, in the darkness of the void, something was watching, something waiting, and it was waking up. 3 hours had passed since the fleet lost control. No jump drive, no outside communication, no stars. Only darkness. Commander Reek stood near the observation deck, staring at the large object outside the thing that wasn't a ship, wasn't. A station. It hovered like a predator waiting for its prey to collapse from fear. Behind him, the bridge was quiet, but not calm. Every crew member had the same haunted look in their eyes, pale faces, trembling hands. No one could sleep. Reek turned as Myra walked up to him. Voice was low, like she was afraid someone might hear. Sir, the crew is hearing. Things. Hearing what? Reek asked. Voices, she said. Some say it's whispers in the walls. Others say it's people they know. Dead people, family, friends, all saying the same thing. Open the door. Rake's face tightened. What door? No one knows, Mira said. But they all hear the same words, even on other ships. Reek stayed quiet for a moment. Then he said, Are they hallucinating? That's the thing, sir, Mira whispered. The AI logs show audio patterns, real sounds, coming from different parts of the hull, like something is whispering from outside. We're in a nightmare. Mira hesitated, then added, Sir. One of the crew, Private Hensley, walked into an airlock, spaced himself, left a message behind. Reek looked at her sharply. What did it say? She handed him a tablet. The message was short. Only 4 words written in shaky handwriting. It's already inside us. Elsewhere in the fleet, chaos spread slowly. On the ship Ironhold, a lieutenant shot his captain, claiming the captain's voice had changed, that he was no longer human. On Star Echo, the lights wouldn't turn off, even after being shut down. Shapes kept appearing on camera. Always standing. Always still. One crewman tried to destroy a life support console with his bare hands, screaming, Don't let them breathe through us. No one knew what he meant, and every hour more of the crew began hearing the whisper. Sometimes it said, He. Is Neo? You brought him back? Open the door. Back on the Nova Blade, Reek sat with his officers. The room was tense. Kerr had bags under his eyes. Mira was silent. Even the ship's AI, LEXI, had begun speaking more slowly. Need options, Reek said. Anything. I won't let this fleet rot in the dark. Kerr spoke first. Sir, I think we've passed the edge of known space, but not just in distance. Reek narrowed his eyes. Explained. Kerr looked nervous. What if we're not in our dimension anymore? What if we jumped? Oh. Else somewhere we were never meant to go? Reek didn't respond. No one laughed. The idea didn't feel crazy anymore. It felt like the only thing that made sense. Myra spoke next. If that's true, we may not be alone. The warnings. Whispers. They might be part of something that lives here. Something ancient. Reek leaned forward. Then why hasn't it destroyed us yet? Mira met his eyes. Maybe it's waiting for us to destroy ourselves. Later that night, Reek finally lay down in his quarters. He hadn't slept in over 30 hours. He closed his eyes and dreamed. He stood alone in the same hallway of the ship, but it was dark, silent. Then a voice behind him said, "You left the door open." He turned. No one was there when he looked back. The hallway was different, longer, endless. At the far end stood a figure, a tall man in a commander's uniform, but his face, it was melting. It's like wax. His eyes were empty. Reek couldn't move. The figure raised its hand and pointed. "We warned you. But you wanted glory." Then the walls of the ship began to bleed. Reek woke up, gasping. Sweat covered his skin. The lights in his room flickered, even though he hadn't touched anything. The wall, written in fog from his breath, were 3 words. "He is here." The fleet drifted in the dark. The whispers grew louder, and something was moving between the waiting, watching, learning. The trap wasn't just a prison, it was a feeding ground, and now it had new prey. The Nova Blade floated in silence. Outside, the stars were gone. Only a deep black emptiness surrounded the fleet now. On the bridge, Commander Reek sat hunched over a table with Myra and Kerr. The crew was falling apart. Another officer had spaced himself that morning. 2 others had stopped speaking, just sat in corners, staring at the walls. Even the ship's AI, Lexi, had begun repeating strange sentences in the middle of normal tasks. "Sir," Mira said, "if we don't act soon, we'll lose more than just crew. We'll lose the fleet." Reek nodded. "Then we find out what's doing this. We stop it." Just then, an alert flashed. Kerr turned to his screen. "Unusual energy spike? Coming." "From nearby debris. Show it," Reek said. The screen zoomed in. A large asteroid was floating near the edge of the fleet, half hidden in the shadows. But this was no ordinary rock. Metal beams stuck out from the surface. Huge black panels covered one side, and deep inside the structure a strange green light pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. "That's not natural," Mira said. "It's a structure." Kerr added, "A ship, or a station. Very old." "Send a drone," Reek ordered. The drone flew silently through space. When it reached the surface of the object, it scanned for life. None. Then it found something deeper in entrance. The drone entered. Inside, the walls were cracked and scorched. Long corridors filled with broken lights and shattered machines. The place looked like it had died long ago. Then the drone found something strange. A control room, human writing. Mira stared at the screen. "Sir, this can't be possible." Reek frowned. "What? These labels? They're in English. Old Earth English. But this place is ancient, thousands of years old." Reek leaned forward. "Translate everything now." On the wall behind the main console, something was carved in large letters. "Trap Zone Alpha 1. Do not enter under any condition. This place contains him," Kerr said. "Who's him?" Reek's voice was cold. "I think we're about to find out." The drone activated the console. To their shock, it powered on. A broken voice began playing from the speakers. It was human. Male. Weak. The voice echoed with pain. "If you're hearing this, I'm sorry. We didn't mean to awaken it. We thought it was dead. We were wrong." The voice coughed, then continued. "This place was never meant to be found again. We sealed it with 7 drives. But something kept calling us back. 8. Speaks in light, in dreams, in memory. It doesn't kill fast. It waits. It watches. Then it becomes you. If you've entered, you are already infected. Leave now, or at least, don't bring it home." The message ended. Kerr was pale. "Sir, that recording is dated over 500,000 years ago," Mira whispered, "but humans didn't have space travel back then." Reek stood up slowly. "Unless we did, and history forgot," as a theory formed in his mind, a terrifying one. What if this wasn't the first time humanity reached the stars? What if a great civilization once existed and fell? What if this was the reason? Commander Mira said suddenly, "Look at this." She pointed to the last log on the console. It had a final entry, timestamped just before the structure went dark. It read, The door was opened. He is free. Then one more sentence, written by hand on the screen in faded letters. We buried him in darkness. You brought him light. Suddenly, all the lights on the Nova Blade flickered. A cold wind blew through the bridge oven, though. No air should move inside. The AILEXI began repeating, he sees, he sees, he sees. He shut down the console. The whisper returned in his head, louder now. Why did you come? You broke the seal. Now we return, through you. Reek stepped back, his chest tight. His voice was barely a whisper. We didn't just fall into a trap. Mira looked at him. Then what is this? He looked back at the dark space. Outside. We opened a prison. One that our ancestors built. One that should have stayed shut forever. And now, the thing inside was awake again. The fleet was no longer silent. It groaned. Not from engines. Not from metal. From something. Alive. On the bridge of the Nova Blade, Commander Reek stared at the energy readings. They pulsed like a heartbeat, slow, deep, and heavy. The signals weren't from any known machine. It came from somewhere beneath space itself, as if the fabric of reality was trembling. He's waking up, Myra said softly. Reek didn't answer. He didn't need to. They all felt it now. The presence, it wasn't just watching anymore. It was moving. The science officer on the ship, Star Echo, sent a final message to Reek before her transmission cut off. Sir, our AI has been compromised. It's no longer following orders. It speaks in someone else's voice. I believe the ship is infected. Then silence. No explosion. No damage. Just nothing. Try to raise them again, Reek said. We've lost all contact, Kerr reported. They're not answering on any channel. Send a drone, Reek ordered. The drone left Nova Blade and flew toward the Star Echo. The ship looked normal from the outside. Lights were on. Engines hummed. But the closer the drone got, the stranger things became. The ship's hull was changing. It moved slowly, but clearly, like it was breathing. Then came the voice. You should not have come. It echoed from the drone's speakers, but no one had transmitted it. The feed went black. The drone was gone. Back on the Nova Blade, the crew began hearing the whisper again. But now it was louder, sharper, not a whisper anymore. A voice, not one voice but many. Speaking together, we were locked away. You shattered the gate. You will carry us home. In the medbay, one of the crew members screamed and began clawing at his skin. He kept saying the same thing over and over. It's wearing my face. It's wearing my face. Security tried to sedate him. When they scanned his brain, the results made no sense. His neural patterns didn't match human readings anymore. It was like something else was using his mind. He died 10 minutes later, without a single wound. Reek called an emergency meeting with all surviving ship captains through the private link. Only 9 ships remained. Whatever this is, Reek said, it's not just alien, it's ancient. It infects systems, minds, maybe even reality itself. Then we leave, Captain Straw of the Arclight said. We take what's left and get out. We've tried, Reek said. The jump. Drives won't work. It's like we're locked in. Do you suggest? Another captain asked. We find a way to break the lock. We either blow the door open or die trying. Before anyone could answer, an alert blared. Incoming fire. Ship Valor has opened attack. Everyone froze. Reek turned to the screen. The Valara mid-sized battleship had turned its weapons on the fleet. Without warning, it fired on the Silver Ghost, tearing into its hull. Why are they attacking? Kerr shouted. Open a channel, Reek barked. Mira tried. They're not responding. But there's a signal coming through. Audio only. She hit play. From the speakers, a voice crackled metallic, broken and wrong. We are free. He walks again. Join or be erased. Then the Valor changed. Its hull split open like a blooming flower. Inside, something pulsed with purple light. The crew's life signs vanished. Every single one. But the ship kept moving. Shouldn't have. No AI could pilot like that. It was no longer a ship. It was a vessel for him. Reek had no choice. All ships opened fire on the Valar now. Lasers and torpedoes lit up the black void. The Valar tried to dodge, but this time it wasn't fast enough. A direct hit to its core. The ship exploded in a blast of light and twisting shadow. But even as it died, a final message echoed across every channel. He is awake. Then silence. After the battle, Reek walked alone to the observation deck. He stared out at the void. Something flickered in the distance, a shape bigger than any ship. A tower of black stone, floating in space. It hadn't been there before. Myra joined him. "What is that?" she asked. Reek didn't answer for a long time. Finally, he said, "I think it's his body, rising." Commander Reek stood in the war room, staring at a flickering hologram of the strange black tower that had appeared after the Valar's destruction. It wasn't a ship, it wasn't a station. It was a piece of him, rising around the table. The remaining captains were pale and silent. Only 8 ships remained. One more had gone dark during the night. No signs of attack. Dotfla just vanished. "We're out of time," Reek said. "No jump." "No comes, no stars," Captain Strahl said bitterly. "We're not a fleet anymore, we're prey. We still have a chance," Reek said. "But it'll cost us." Engineer Thalin, the oldest officer on the Nova Blade, stepped forward. The voice was quiet but steady. "I've been studying the energy spikes around this space. Whatever's locking us in it isn't just tech. It's like a living net. Fold space is tied in knots. If we can tear it apart, we might open a hole." "How?" Reek asked. Thalin looked at the floor. A chain reaction explosion. "Using all our antimatter cores, one ship needs to carry the final charge into the heart of the distortion." Mira's face went pale. "That's a suicide run." Thalin nodded. "Yes, but if we don't do it, we stay here forever. And worse, ... we take him back with us." The room was silent. Reek looked at the captains. No one volunteered. How could they? Reek didn't wait. "I'll take the charge myself, Commander." Kerr began. "No," Reek said. "This happened because of me. I ignored the warning. It brought us here." "You don't have to do this alone," Mira said. Her eyes were shining with emotion. "Yes," Reek said softly. "I do. The plan was simple, but risky. 7 ships would retreat and hide behind the nearest asteroid field. The Nova Blade now, stripped down and loaded with every core, would fly into the heart of the Black Tower, now pulsing with deep red light. Inside that structure, Thalin believed, was the core of the fold space trap, what ancient humans once sealed. The charge would be triggered manually at close range. A clean jump tier might open just long enough for the others to escape. "Prepare the blade," Reek said. The final mission began. Inside the ship, systems were shutting down one by one to power the charge. Lights flickered, oxygen was limited, and the corridors echoed with creaks and strange groans. The voice had returned, but quieter now, curious. "You would burn yourself. To seal me?" Reek ignored it. He walked the halls one last time, past crew members saying goodbye. Mira was at the shuttle bay. "I should be going with you," she said. "You should be living," Reek replied. She handed him a small datapad. "When this is over, send it back through the rift." "What is it?" Reek asked. "Our full logs. Everything we saw, heard, felt. The truth. Someone on Earth needs to know what waits in the dark." Reek nodded. "If I survive." She smiled. "Sadly you won't, but the truth might." The Nova Blade moved alone through the void. The Black Tower loomed larger. Its surface shifted constantly, like oil boiling in space. Sometimes faces formed in it, sometimes eyes. Once Reek thought he saw his own reflection smiling back. The whisper came again. "You could be more than this. May command me. Let me in." Reek reached the heart of the structure. His ship trembled. Systems froze. Time itself began to bend. His watch moved backward. The air was thick with something unseen. He saw memories that weren't his human cities under twin suns. Worlds burning in silence, a fleet of gold ships circling a black hole, and a voice, not from the walls but from inside his mind. You. We're not the first. You won't be the last. Reek didn't flinch. He pressed the final trigger. The antimatter charge began its countdown. 10. 9, 8. The whisper screamed now. The tower shook violently. The void split at the edges, white cracks in black space. 7. 6, 5. Reek sent out the final command to the fleet. Jump now. 4. He opened the message log from Mira, attached it to a burst beacon too. Blunt! A blinding flash of white tore through space. The Nova blade vanished in light, far behind. The rest of the fleet saw the rift open. Stars returned. Jump drives came online. One by one, the surviving ships jumped out, carrying with them the story, the warning. In the memory of the man who made sure they weren't followed, the stars were back. The sky that had been dark for days was now full of familiar constellations. For the first time, in what felt like forever, the surviving fleet was back in known space, but no one was celebrating. On the bridge of the Arclight, Captain Strahl stood in silence. The image of the Nova blade exploding was still, fresh in his mind. Reek was gone. The rift had worked. They had escaped, but something still felt wrong. Captain, said the comms officer, receiving a signal, weak but repeating. Strahl. Stepped forward? From where? Not sure. Somewhere inside our own fleet. Play it. The message played over the speakers low, broken, full of static. But the voice was unmistakable. It was Commander Reek. Escaped, but something followed. Warning. Don't. Trust. The message cut out. Strahl froze. What was that? The officer checked the logs. It's real, sir. Not a recording. This message is live. But it's fragmented. Bouncing between ships? How? He detonated the ship. There's no way he survived. Then another officer spoke. Sir, I've got strange readings from the Blackthorn. One of our support cruisers. Life signs are fluctuating. Like someone's. There, but the ship was empty when we jumped. Strahl stared at the data. Send a team now. On the Blackthorn, the boarding crew moved through the dark halls with flashlights. Everything was powered down. No movement. No sound. But the readings were clear one. Lifeform was on board. They followed the signal through twisting corridors and arrived at the command deck. The doors opened slowly, and there, sitting in the captain's chair, was Commander Reek. His face was pale. His uniform burned. But he was breathing, Commander. One of the soldiers asked. Reek turned his head slowly. His eyes were dark, unblinking. He smiled and said, We broke the gate. Back on the Arclight, the report came in fast. Strahl listened. In horror, as the boarding team screamed over, comes, He's not human. He's not static. Then silence. The Blackthorn powered up. On its own, lights blazed red across its hull. Weapons activated, it turned toward the fleet. Strahl stood frozen. That's not Reek. Mira's voice came in over the emergency channel. She had made it aboard the medical cruiser. Her voice was shaking, swearing his face. She said, just like in the dreams, he didn't escape. That message, he tried to warn us, but it got out too. Is it still him? Strahl asked. Mira didn't answer right away. Then softly, it's a part of him. A shard. Enough to destroy us all. The Blackthorn opened fire. Lasers sliced through space. One ship, the Red Saber, took a direct hit and exploded. The rest of the fleet scattered, but it was no good. The Blackthorn was faster, smarter, and it didn't need a crew anymore. It was him now. Inside the Blackthorn, Reek walked calmly through the halls. His footsteps echoed like thunder where he passed. Lights flickered and walls cracked. He reached the main console and whispered, Let the rest open the door. On the Arclight, Mira sent one final message to the fleet. We have one chance. We trap him again, but we need to break the last lock. Strahl looked confused. Last lock? Myra sent a file, an old data fragment from the ancient derelict. they found earlier, it read. The seal must be rebuilt. A blood and light, sacrifice and choice. The gate only stays closed when the last unbroken soul says no. Mira explained, we don't just need to destroy that ship. Someone must face him and choose not to join. Strahl understood. We need a voice to tell the dark. No more. Mira nodded. As the Blackthorn closed in, Mira did something no one expected. She launched a single-person pod. Directly toward it. Strahl shouted, What are you doing? Her reply was calm. I heard his voice first. He knows me. That's why I still hear. Him. Maybe I can stop him. Maybe I can be the lock. The pod crashed into the Blackthorn. Mira stepped out and walked into the shadows inside. She saw Rake's face, smiling, but wrong. Too smooth, two sharp eyes like a void. He spoke gently. Rule. Become what you fear.
I
Said no. The Blackthorn shook violently. Its lights exploded. Energy poured from its hull like smoke. The fleet watched in awe as the ship began to fold in on itself, vanishing into a collapsing ball of light and darkness. Then, gone. Only silence remained. Mira never returned. But the rest of the fleet was safe. For now, 3 months after the last battle, the fleet finally returned to Earth's orbit. Only 5 ships made it back. Half their original strength, less than a third of their original crew, but they were alive, and what they brought with them changed everything. Inside Earth Command, top officials watched the decrypted file that Mira had sent before her final mission. Her voice played through the speakers. If you're hearing this, we made it out, but only just. Something ancient lives beyond the map. It speaks without words. It infects without touch. It watches, and it waits. We called. It heed because there was no better name, but it's not a god. It's a force, a hunger. We broke the seal. We let it feel light again now. It remembers us. Then Mira's voice paused. It grew softer. Reek died a hero. He closed the door. But a part of it escaped. It wore his face. It attacked us. I stopped it. But I don't know if that's the end. Please, if you ever go beyond Sector X-92 again, don't listen to the whispers. Don't follow the lights. Can never, ever answer the signal. Because if he speaks again, it means someone else is listening. The message ended. The room remained silent. Then the Admiral stood. Down the entire sector, he said. No exploration, no probes. It's not even a scan. We seal it forever. And they did. But secrets don't stay buried. 3 weeks later, it's at a deep space research station orbiting Jupiter. A young technician picked up something strange on an old emergency channel. It was static at first. Then a voice came through barely. Audible. He turned up the volume. A man's voice. Calm. Familiar. This is Commander Reek of the Nova Blade. We made contact. We survived. Please respond. The technician leaned in. Commander Reek. But that's not possible, he whispered. He replayed the file again. Same voice, same name, same warning. No pause, it sounded like. A recording, but something was off. It looped once. Then again, on the third playthrough, the voice changed slightly. Just a few words. We survived, and so did he. The technician froze. Alarms didn't go off. Nothing delicted. Everything looked normal, but he felt it. Deep down, in his bones, he looked at the console again. A second signal had appeared. No origin, no. I did just a simple message. I remember your light. The technician slowly reached for the comms to alert command, but before he touched it, the lights dimmed, and somewhere deep in the quiet station, a voice whispered, "Let's begin again."